ready to question everything? Tune in.
Out there, what's the plan? Are we pawns or the kings of the land? It's the Robert and Crew
Show. Welcome back to the Robert and Crew Show. As always, I'm your host, Robert.
And I'm your co-host, Crew.
And tonight we're back on the subject of Hollywood. What else we got? What's going on tonight, Crew?
We are going to be talking about mainly the Playboy House or Mansion.
The Playboy Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
So good old Hugh Hefner.
Oh, yeah.
So when you think about the Playboy Mansion, the first thing that comes to my mind is underground tunnels, mm-hmm. and the way Hugh Hef treated his playmates.
Mine is where he had a rule where everybody had to be in bed by 9 o'clock. If you were late, you had to sleep outside.
If you were late, you what?
You had to sleep outside.
Oh, that's screwed up.
And also, all his girlfriends had to have blonde hair.
I've heard that. Elmstead said his favorite is the pig blood parties.
Did you know Jack Nicholson was one of them who supposedly had a tunnel?
Yeah. Jack Nicholson was at the Playboy Mansion all the time. Same thing with Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash. Both were at the Playboy Mansion quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But I mean, back then, if you were famous, you were at the Playboy Mansion. If you weren't at the Playboy Mansion, you were a nobody.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
So, let's start this up. Oh my God, Elmstead, that's crazy. He said he thinks it was held weekly and they killed a pig and they would like kill a live pig. He said he doesn't really remember. That's insane. So before we get into that, we got two videos that you sent that have nothing to do with the Playboy Mansion. So let's hit those first.
Celebrities are being cloned. They are not human. Watch this.
They're not clones. It's worse than that. Everyone's talking about celebrity clones, but what if I told you it's not cloning? It's something the Bible warned us about 3,000 years ago. And you've seen it. Your favorite artist suddenly acts different, or your favorite actor, a different energy, different eyes. And people say they cloned them. But listen, cloning is the cover story for what's actually happening. The Canaanites practiced child sacrifice to Moloch, but it wasn't just killing. In Leviticus 18 and 21, they call it passing through the fire. They were performing soul transfer rituals, harvesting life force, and putting entities into other bodies. That technology never died. It just went underground. When someone signs their life away to the industry, that's a covenant. It's trauma-based programming, and it fractures the original soul. And rituals create the opening. The original person dies spiritually, and a prepared entity walks its way on in the same body but a different driver. And that's why they seem off. In Mark 5 and 9, it says legion multiple entities in one body, familiar spirits. In Leviticus 19 and 31, it says demons that mimic the person they replaced. This isn't new. It's ancient Canaanite tech repackaged for entertainment industrial complex. It explains sudden personality changes, lost memories, and different mannerisms, doing unspeakable things without remorse, because their conscience left. And what's operating now is something else entirely. We don't clone bodies, it's still there. And you're watching it happen in real time.
All celebrities are being.
So it was very hard to understand what he was saying. I'm not even going to lie.
I agree.
But I understood the gist of it. He's saying basically that all celebrities are cloned, but they're not really clones, because what they can do is they can take a celebrity, they can basically capture their life force and then put a demon or an entity inside of them.
And also, another thing what they'll do, they'll take specific, like the older celebrities, right?
Right.
Mixed with the younger celebrities and like combine them. You know, that way they can live, that way the older ones can live on.
That way they live forever or whatever.
Yeah. Because like there was this one actress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who Selena Gomez looks exactly like now. The hair and the facial structure.
Well, you know, speaking about that, I mean, this doesn't really have to do with cloning, but did you see the video of the Artemis astronauts where they basically showed that the girl, Coke or whatever her name is, Coach or Coke, she was labeled as an actress on IMDb, and then there was another one, which was the black guy that was on the Artemis mission, who is also labeled as an actor, who they believe played in I don't remember what movie they said he played. Or no, he didn't play in a movie. He played in the Last of Us series. And IMDb tried to scrub his name off of or Wikipedia. They tried to scrub his name off that TV show's Wikipedia or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then people are saying that Coke girl is literally the nerdy black-haired girl from Big Bang Theory. Do you know who I'm talking about? Okay, because I mean, I just saw a video on it, and honestly, they do look similar. Now, with the Coke girl, though, I don't think that's the Big Bang lady. I think basically they look very similar.
Well, both those two, right? Because I did mention this yesterday, that the dude, when he had the microphone and he was talking to the people in the studio.
Yeah.
Well, he slipped up and said that they have two people from a casting agency.
Yeah, Coke. Julie, that Coke girl played. She also played in Mad Max. Yeah, that's fact. But the problem is that they're scrubbing her name from all of these movies because they think that that's going to hide the fact that she was an actor. Now, regardless if she's an actor or not, that doesn't mean she can't be an astronaut. I'm just going to say it. It doesn't mean she can't be an astronaut. I'm going to steel man this. That does not mean she can't be an astronaut. But it is weird. It is very weird that they're scrubbing her name from the Mad Max movie, and they took the black guy's name off of the Last of Us series, which is absolutely insane. So
they're gonna have to spend countless hours editing whatever they were in, getting them swiped off those.
I don't think they will. I think they'll just leave it how it is, bro. And the reason I say that is they thought that just wiping the names would be good enough. And that's how they always go. They're just going to say that they're two different people. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? They're just going to claim that they're two different people.
And then they're going to say, oh, no, that's a Mandela effect.
Yeah, 20 years down the road.
Right.
All right, so it's very interesting, to say the least. So let's go on to this next video that you sent. That is, this one's about a theory that involves Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. So let's play it. Wait, is this all it is? Is just a photo?
Yeah.
Okay, so Epstein files revealed that Selena Gomez was replaced by a clone for ritual sacrifice. I don't know if that's proven. The only thing in the Epstein files that even referred to a Selena was just the name Selena. It never actually referred to Selena Gomez in the files.
Check this out. Because you know how more files just got released?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's one, which I sent you a video, but I guess you can't play it. So remember how Britney Spears was, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Throughout her entire career?
Yeah.
Well, when she got free from it, guess who got a hold of it?
The Kardashians.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
who helped them get a hold of it?
Was it Britney's attorney or her dad?
No.
Who?
A lady who had connections with Epstein, and the chick who is in prison who was associated with Epstein.
Ghislaine?
Yep.
Is there proof of that?
Yeah, it's in the Epstein files.
Interesting. All right, so we're going to start off with the dark side of the Playboy Mansion.
In the 2022 docuseries Secrets of Playboy, Theodore, remember his girlfriend from the 70s and 80s, claimed that she once, this is so gross, walked in on Hugh Hefner engaging in sexual activity with a dog. I walked in on him with my dog and I said, "What are you doing?" I was shocked, and he made it seem like it was just a one-time thing, just gaslight the crap out of her, and that he was just goofing off. But I never left him alone with my dog again. I'm sorry, you didn't break up with him then? I feel like that's grounds for breaking up. Yeah, you may like your lifestyle, but like you could probably have this lifestyle with someone who's not doing that to a dog. In 2023, Holly Madison said that Hefner hated some of the girls wearing red lipstick because he wanted them to look young and fresh-faced. He wanted skimpy and fresh-faced and very young looking. I guess he thought that red lipstick aged them, so the younger, the better. In the 2022 docuseries,
that's disturbing.
Yeah.
Hugh Hefner had sexual relations with a dog, apparently, allegedly. That is absolutely disgusting.
Mhm.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, me either. That's bestiality right there.
Well, yeah, but I have nothing to say about it.
Me either.
Elmster says he's confused on how the last video was connected to Selena.
Okay. There's been rumors going on around for over the years where Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber supposedly had a child. Now, there was a picture that was taken of Selena way back, right? Where you could clearly, this was before,
He said, I'm talking about Crew and Britney.
Oh, Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So basically, the Kardashians have.
I think Elmsley got confused. Yeah, no, that was two separate. It was completely separate.
Yeah.
The first video was just an image that states that Selena Gomez's stuff is in the Epstein files, but I've looked that up myself and I have found no proof besides a name that was locked into the files that said Selena, and people are immediately going to the fact that he was always talking about celebrity women and that the Selena had to be Selena Gomez, but it doesn't actually, her last name does not appear in the files.
Right.
You can look it up yourself. It does not appear in the files at all.
But here's what makes more sense if you think about it real quick before we get back on the Playboy topic. With Selena Gomez, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her last name does not get mentioned. But the Kardashians had a connection with Epstein, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's been rumors going on over the years, alleged rumors, that when Selena and Bieber had a child, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a picture of Selena Gomez in a bed, laying down. Her eyes are closed. And if you look very carefully in that picture, on her bed, by her pillow, you can clearly see a pregnancy test.
Right.
Now, and there's a few pictures also where Selena Gomez has a baby bump. And also, so when Selena Gomez had the child, right?
Right.
It gets where Hollywood doesn't want her to have the child. They want her to follow a certain way. It was either the child or her.
Mm-hmm.
So she sacrificed herself to save the child.
I'm looking for this photo you mentioned of her laying down with a pregnancy test. I cannot find it.
I found it on TikTok.
I'm looking through Google Images right now because you'd think that it would pop up on there. There are fake photos that claim that Selena was pregnant, but they're all fake. These are obviously AI or doctored photos.
Well, there's one where she's wearing like a red dress, right? And you kind of can see like a baby bump.
Well, I will give you this one. This one looks like she's pregnant. Here, let me share this right here. Boom, right there.
Yep, that's one of the photos.
She looks pregnant in that picture, for sure.
Yeah. Now, back to the story, because this story gets very intense, okay? So, with the Kardashians have a connection with Epstein, right?
Yeah.
They're a very powerful family. And
Right.
Epstein is known to associate with powerful families.
Supposedly.
Right. Now, with Courtney getting the son, right?
Yeah.
Selena goes missing. Comes back not herself. Then Justin comes out with a song and performs it at the music awards
Right.
in front of all his friends. And he was telling them in that song what happened to Selena.
Well, yeah, but that's just a conspiracy theory.
Well, here's the thing. The way they were reacting during that song.
Yeah,
right?
we watched that in one of the other Hollyweird videos.
Right. Well, I've been, doing a lot of research on this, right?
Yeah, sure.
And when the way he acts and has those crash outs
Mm-hmm.
since that moment, right? He's been crashing out every moment he gets because he even came out, I guess, and explained the truth of what really happened to Selena. And the Kardashians not only had that involvement, but then they got a hold of Britney Spears and got her to go back to what she had got away from.
What, her dad and the conservatorship and all of that?
The conservatorship part, yes.
Yeah. Where all these people took control of her money.
Yeah. And it's just getting out of hand because now the Kardashians, all the women are in control in the family. Any man that gets connected with them, something bad happens to them. Like their son Rob, he was very skinny at one point, all full of life, dated the chick from the Cheetah Girls way back, and then dated I can't remember that black girl's name. He dated her for a little bit, I guess. And then his life slowly went downhill where he gained weight and he became very depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then Scott, who was, in a relationship with Kourtney Kardashian, he became he was full of life, had his head on his shoulders, was doing great. And then he became an alcoholic.
Yeah, well, they call it the Kardashian curse.
Right. And I'm gonna get there because we were on that a while back.
And by the way, Elmster said that Selena came forward or he said, didn't Selena come forward and say these conspiracies about her ruined her life? Yes, she did. But Cruz's claim here is that's not the real Selena.
Well, here's the thing though. A lot of them will make a joke out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, before I get back to the Selena part, I'm wanting to get because this and then Omar, that big basketball legend guy.
Yeah.
He was married to Khloe.
Mm-hmm.
When they divorced, he started ODing. And then Travis Scott, who was in a relationship with Kylie Jenner.
Hey, you can't forget about O.J. Simpson.
Oh, I'm gonna get to him real quick. But Travis Scott, right? Remember that really bad concert he had?
Yeah, Astro World.
Yeah, Astroworld. That's
The Britney. So Elmsta is saying that the Kardashians helped Britney. That's a bold-faced fucking lie.
yeah,
And
no.
the Kardashians claim they helped Britney. They actually stole money from her. They stole tons of money from Britney Spears. Same thing with her father. Her father robbed her blind too. I actually, like I've said this before. I know one of Britney Spears' cousins, and he stopped hearing from her or hearing anything about her back in 2015 because basically she accused everybody around her of stealing her shit, and they ended up locking her up in a mental institution for a little bit. Basically, Britney never lied about that shit. Her dad stole millions from her. She also claimed that the Kardashian sisters stole millions from her. So I believe it. I believe her.
One of the men, right, who was like a stepbrother to the Kardashians, has the last name Jenner.
Oh, well, there's Caitlyn Jenner, but who's the? That's
It's
Bruce.
it's Caitlyn Jenner's son when he was Bruce Jenner, his oldest son.
Who was that?
He was like married to Avril Lavigne or dated Avril Lavigne.
Right.
Well, Avril Lavigne, we all you knew. Anybody who knows me knows I love Avril Lavigne's music.
Yeah.
That's not the Avril Lavigne. No.
Well, supposedly, like every other celebrity conspiracy, Avril died. Same thing with Eminem, Britney Spears, and Justin Timberlake. Supposedly, they all died. And Kevin Hart. I mean, you got to look at this. Like, I feel like a lot of conspiracies revolve around these people that just because they're famous. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's weird shit that goes on behind the scenes, and I'm sure there's things that people cannot explain or people just don't want to talk about, or they want to write it off immediately. But that's the thing is we don't know because we're not those people. So I do think it's a little unfair sometimes to poke and prod these people because they go through it their entire lives. They're followed around by the paparazzi. They can't really have friends anymore unless their friends are rich and famous. Because what happens when you get a lot of money and you go back and you try to talk to the friends you used to have? What happens? They ask you for your shit. They continuously ask to borrow money from you. They continually ask for things from you. They continually ask for like a new car or for help with rent or for help with something. And you just become the next person's cash cow, which is why that's exactly what happened to Britney. I mean, let's look at her father. Okay. Britney Spears' dad belongs in prison. In my personal opinion, he belongs in prison.
Back to the whole OJ part, because I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
Now, Robert Kardashian was his lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
OJ Simpson ended up in prison. But because Robert Kardashian was associated with the Kardashians, and OJ was, Robert died.
Yeah, and Robert was OJ's lawyer, right?
Yeah. Yes. And not only did Robert die after being associated with the Kardashians, he's their father and former husband of Kris Jenner, but OJ Simpson ended up in prison. Now, anybody
sorry, Elmsta's going off in the comments.
Any man who ends up associated with the Kardashians, there's been alleged huge theory that's been going on for generations. That
their family made a pact with a witch, and the witch decided Or how many?
4.
Okay, well, regardless, witches were involved apparently, and they put a curse on all of the men that ever got involved with the Kardashians.
And all the women would end up successful,
Pretty and
pretty,
all the other good stuff. Yeah.
and like you said, all the men would end up cursed, no matter what.
First, unhappy, unalive themselves, or like there's been a lot of weird stuff that revolves around the Kardashians.
Like, remember that one drummer with all the tattoos?
Travis Barker.
Yeah, he was good until he ended up with MGK.
Well, Travis Barker, he's I mean, if you look at that man, he's been through some shit, and I think he's on drugs.
Well,
That's my personal opinion. I'm not gonna say he is on drugs. I said I think he's on drugs. That's just my personal
he
opinion.
was also one of them who was associated with the Kardashians.
Oh yeah, no, he was. They had plans to get married, him and whoever he was with.
I think it was Courtney.
Yeah, it was Kourtney Kardashian, but they had plans to get married. Are they not together anymore?
I don't believe so. No. And then the famous one, Kanye West, who was with Kim Kardashian.
Well, Ye went crazy though.
He did, and when he went MIA, right? He comes back not himself. And everybody clearly even said that's not the Kanye we used to know. All the celebrities even pointed it out. Like they said, Kanye, the one they used to know, was all healthy, skinny, looked good,
Well, the Kanye West rabbit hole is a whole nother story that we can talk about that when we do an episode on Kanye. But Kanye is a entirely different story. He he did at one point, like literally he hated Jews, hates Jews, and he thinks they run the entire world. He made that song that the N-word Heil H, like he actually said that in one of his songs. So I mean, Kanye West is weird. He's very, 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 very weird. I would love to do a deep dive on Kanye at some point. But let's get back into the mansion. So what are your thoughts on Hefner violating a dog?
No comment.
You have no comment on that?
Yeah,
I just see that old man just go into town, and his wife freaking opens the door, and she's like, "Oh no, not Mr. Fluffles! Don't do that to Mr. Fluffles!" Fucking Hugh, man, leave the dogs alone. What the hell is wrong with him?
And you know how much I love dogs.
Yeah.
Like,
Clavicular. Yeah, Clavicular's weird. I don't follow him, but I've seen some of his stuff. Elmstead. I don't follow him though.
Being a girlfriend at the Playboy Mansion was absolutely a full-time job because they had to be on at all times. At the absolute minimum, these women deserved the structure of a workplace of a full-time job. Let's start at the beginning of the girlfriend journey. These women deserved an onboarding process. There are a lot of financial perks often associated with this era of being a girlfriend, but the women were very often not told about these perks up front. So like, for example, very famously, there was this open running tab at a salon in Beverly Hills where the girls could go at any time, get their hair done, get their nails done, whatever. When you entered this circle of women, you were reliant on someone telling you about this salon tab. I think it was Bridget that said on Girls Next Level that she was coloring her hair with box dye until someone shared it. It might have been Holly, I'm sorry. The other financial perk that the public likes to focus on is the allowance of $1,000 a week. This is a criminal underpayment, knowing again that this was a full-time job, that these women were living in wildly abusive situations. But even if this had been a fair price for their freedom, why were they being paid in cash? I highly doubt any of these women were asked to fill out W-9s, and they were not getting PTO if a woman wanted to go away to see her family, if she had an emergency, whatever. She was not only like very heavily discouraged from leaving at any point for an extended period of time, but she was not paid for that week she was gone. I've said before, I think these women absolutely deserved a union. There was a sense of competition to start from the outside because it seemed competitive to become one of the girlfriends. But then once you were inside, it was also competitive kind of by design. And in a truly perfect world, there would have been one person, one head girlfriend negotiating on behalf of all 7 women living there. This may have happened at some point, but from the women who have spoken out about their time during the 7 girlfriends era, there was cattiness, there was drama, there was like some perceived greed in some of these interviews when women share that some of their requests seemed perfectly reasonable, but the requests of someone else seemed greedy. They were heavily discouraged from saving money. They were deeply isolated from their friends, their family, from the outside world. And while they may have only been required to show up at whatever 2 or 3 club nights a week, they were also living under insane rules all the other days. They were expected to show up. They were expected to be on. They were expected to be like following the rules. Again, I've shared before, like the financial perks as manipulation over time. There was also no job security. A lot of women have shared that during their time living at the Playboy Mansion, they also had apartments that they were keeping on the side. You had no idea how long you were going to be there. It's often compared to joining a cult. I think it's almost similar to an MLM because these women are losing their freedom, they're losing their autonomy, they are being put in a wildly abusive and like psychologically traumatizing situation for the promise of $52,000 a year, right? Like not even guaranteed. Being a girlfriend.
Not even guaranteed. And they were highly discouraged from leaving. They basically were told that they couldn't leave. They had to be on call at all times. She's right. They probably didn't do taxes.
That would suck living a life like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely controlled.
Oh, yeah.
So what I like to call the playmates is those are MK Ultra sex kittens.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were groomed and brought just for Hefner to have fun with.
Yeah. And
If you're Hugh Hefner, you're living good for sure, but I don't know if I'd want to live under Hugh.
The rule was, if you want to be one of my top women, you have to be a blonde.
And you have to sleep with him.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is one of the most grossest things in the world, thinking about those women sleeping with Hefner. Ugh. That old fuck. Mm-hmm. Jesus.
Listen closely to what she says and tell me this doesn't sound like a ritual.
It just seemed like all the girls were on the menu. There was like 10 to 15 girls living at my father's house. Literally, they would just come one by one down the staircase. Even Anna Nicole, I got the feeling when we were at the party that she was up for grabs from whoever. Anna Nicole was right around 30 at the time. I have made some comment. She's being phased out. That's how it works.
Jennifer Saginaw grew up inside that world, the so-called dream that they tried to sell to everyone. What she described isn't glamour. It was a feeding ground. 10, 15 girls living at a father's house, lined up like offerings. And even Anna Nicole Smith, once adored, was being phased out. That's the pattern of Hollywood. Builds you up, drains you out. This isn't just fame, it's harvesting your energy. Anna didn't make it out alive, and maybe that's the part that nobody wants to talk about. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below.
So when she says that Anna didn't make it out alive, Anna killed herself, or Anna unalived herself because her son died, not because of the Playboy Mansion.
Well,
so I mean, that is a fraudulent connection there.
Well, I mean,
I do not like that connection. That is a fraudulent connection.
Well,
she was on drugs at the time, along with her son. The same 2 people were on drugs together, and her son died in a hospital while visiting his mother from an OD. And when she saw her son die, she mentally lost it and OD'd herself. So
that, and also, like, I'm gonna bring part of this, right? The lifestyle she was living, right, did also have some connections to it.
That was the right, but she was not a Playboy bunny at that time.
No, but
She had already made it out of the mansion. She
Right.
did make it out alive. I mean, that's the false connection,
well, when
is
she didn't make
tying it directly to her, saying that she's not there.
no, but she didn't make it out alive is because of all that.
Elmster, there's no models that talk smack on Hefner because they had to sign documents stating that if they ever did that, they would lose everything that Hugh Hefner gave them. And some of these Playboy models, by the way, were in Hefner's will. So you have to understand that, like, of course they didn't talk shit on Hugh Hefner. They didn't care. They wanted the money. They wanted the promise of the money. And if the old dude that's screwing them would give them money, then of course they're not going to say anything. But Hugh Hefner's wife his ex-wife has came out multiple times and said disgusting, disturbing things about him. Horrid things about him. There were definitely SA allegations against Hefner on multiple of the Playboy bunnies. There were also definitely allegations of Hefner pushing drugs through the Playboy mansion. There were also allegations of Hefner having the girls drug certain men or certain women that would come into the mansion. So and that's all old news. That's all known. The crazy thing about it is that that it was allowed to go on for so long. That's the crazy thing about it. And it only stopped because he died. I mean, and to be quite honest, I mean, with things like Cornhub around, nobody was buying Playboy anymore. There wasn't a single person buying the Playboy magazine anymore. So yes, Playboy is still going, sure, but they're all online now mostly. You can order magazines for sure. I'm sure you can still do that, but they're not a Fortune 500 company or anything. Yeah, the mansion's abandoned. The mansion's gone. We actually have a video tonight that shows the abandoned mansion. So, yeah. The mansion when abandoned, I believe, was that like in 2020?
I think so.
When did here? I'm going to look it up real quick. In 2017, the Playboy Mansion was abandoned after Hugh Hefner's death. Hefner lived there until his passing, and since then, the mansion has been owned by Darren Metropolos and has been used for various corporate activities and television production. Although the mansion looks like it's in a state of decay, nobody goes to the mansion anymore, and the mansion is not in use. There you go.
Let's go ahead and play that video.
All right.
I want to see this.
Where's the video? Oh, there we go. The Playboy Mansion also had a giant zoo that not a lot of people know about.
Man, that was so hard to get around that fence.
flashlights. Do not
I'm not
let
gonna
that go, or nails.
I got you. Don't worry.
Can you like break this?
Whoa. Look at this mirror.
You think they would have had better? You think they would have had a better toilet?
What's in the sink?
It's a fucking Playboy Mansion. You think the toilets would be gold? Clamshell sink. It's kind of cool. That mirror on the ceiling is weird as shit.
Your light on.
No.
You okay?
Oh my god.
I'm good. I'm okay. Yes. Yes, I'm good. That was slightly terrifying, but I'm okay. Oh my god.
Yeah, don't fall into a hole.
They're just stealing stuff. Well, this is where they did makeup and shit.
The carpet's so cushy. Dude, this is so...
Could you imagine that there's stuff in there that's still, that was probably Hugh Hefner's, that's still there?
Right.
Corona. You guys wanted to start drinking?
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I put my ice cream in.
My God, the old ass telephone.
Right.
Take home.
This is so cool.
Pink toilet and pink sink.
Yeah, well, most of the rooms in the Playboy Mansion were themed.
Oh fuck.
Huh.
It goes through.
There's the pool, or no, that's another. No, that is the pool, isn't it?
Or a jacuzzi. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the two. It blows my mind that the dude that bought it never rebuilt it. Like never didn't keep it in good condition.
Oh
There's the
my
pool
god.
with the Playboy symbol right in the middle.
Wow. Look at this. What? What?
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What a piece of history.
Right.
Look at all the trash inside of the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that chandelier.
It looked like shit.
Thanks.
Or the headlight if you want.
Hey, we good.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
pretty
the
good.
old school telephone booth.
Huh?
This is the mansion. The original gate at the front was torn down a very long time ago. Basically, this dude just let it fall into complete disarray. This is the Playboy Mansion, Elmsta.
And you would think there would be better security over here.
No, because the whole place is in disarray. It's destroyed. The dude who owns it doesn't give a shit about it. Look at all the graffiti that's been there. Look at all the things that have just been completely broken and destroyed. The front doors are gone. Yeah, those are the I remember these
What's
off
up there?
the reality TV
Yeah.
show. Life at the Mansion. That's the saunas.
No.
He said it's not the Playboy Mansion. He said it's the Swingers Tiki Palace, regardless owned by Hugh Hefner. If it's not the mansion, though, I'd like to see the mansion. But I
Dude,
remember this
they're
from the
stealing so
reality
much
TV
shit.
show. So they obviously shot here during the reality TV show.
Oh yeah.
But
You
if
know, with
that's-
AI,
You can create any character you want in seconds.
nobody cares.
This used to require huge Hollywood budgets.
Complex.
Nobody cares about your AI stuff.
Right. Like, okay, if we
I don't forget that you live in Cali, Elmstead. Although you should probably move out of Cali, bro. With
If we ever
with
did
your
get-
governor out there, you should leave. Or I mean, Gavin Newsom, get the fuck out of California.
But if we ever did get back to our urban exploration, like we
I
used
hope
to
that.
do,
Hey, Elmstead, I hope that Pratt guy wins.
but like I said, like if we ever did get back into our urban exploration, that's one of the places I do want to go urban explore.
Right? No, they never did nothing to you except burn down the entire state of California and destroy Hollywood and and the Palisades and everything, and then completely blame everybody else for it. Fuck California.
Right.
Fuck Gavin Newsom. Fuck that lady that ran off during the fires. What the hell was her name? The lady that's running again. That Pratt is that Pratt guy is going up against, which by the way, I hope he wins. He just did a episode with Joe Rogan. I hope he wins the election. I think he will, because basically nobody in California is happy. Not anybody. Like, you guys have fentanyl zombies walking everywhere.
Was that the
Really, Skid Row is everywhere now.
what was that the guy you sent me who was talking to Joe Rogan about Artemis?
No. That's a different person.
Okay.
And that wasn't being talked about Artemis. That was Joe Rogan was on somebody's podcast, and they were telling him about how when he talked to Bart Sabrell about the moon landings, and Joe Rogan played Steelman, but Joe Rogan doesn't believe we went to the moon. I don't believe we went to the moon. I don't think anybody believes we went to the moon. The people that believe that we went to the moon, in all fairness, I think it's absolutely crazy.
You ain't wrong there.
Hey, dude, I'm not distinctively talking shit on California. I hate Missouri too. All of our shit in Missouri is terrible.
Oh yeah.
Say the same thing. Missouri's just not as fraudulent as California. California has so much fucking fraud. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
One thing
Like,
that's about
and
Missouri-
you want to know how much fraud California has, crew? Do you want to know how much fraud? They have so much fraud that they just wrote a new bill in California that if you take pictures or video of somebody committing fraud without them knowing and post it publicly, you will be sued and it will be allowed. Why would you not want the fraud exposed? Do you want to know why that went in play? That got put into play in California because of Nick Shirley. Because Nick Shirley went out and started to expose fraud. So now California is writing fraud bills so that nobody can expose their fraud. I mean, and then you have Gavin Newsom, who wants to be the fucking president. I mean, that dude would, sure, you just destroyed your own fucking California, Gavin. Now you want to destroy America. Go for it.
Right.
I will not be voting for Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom can suck a fat dick.
Well, like I was saying, the one thing that is bad about Missouri The main one is our weather.
Well, yeah, Missouri weather sucks, but that's not the problem that I have. I mean, JD Vance could be a scumbag if you want him to be. I mean, what's the worst thing the dude's accused of is fucking his couch. Who cares? Who cares? Who hasn't gotten drunk, took their pants off, and rubbed up against a couch?
That part.
War crimes. JD Vance accused of war crimes. Okay, I mean that's fine. So is Bibi Netanyahu. So is probably Trump. So is probably every other fucking what do you want to call it? Politician in politics. In anybody that has anyone that runs a country or takes part in running a country could probably get tried for war crimes. I don't know. I think California is the most corrupt state in the United States, in my personal opinion. But you know, y'all only get $400 million a year to help with homelessness, and all that money disappears, and all these California politicians and California people that help out over there are buying Bentleys and mansions and not stopping fires and taking money away from the fire department and saying they're doing it to help the homeless people, and then you still have shitloads of homeless people and nobody's helping the homeless. Y'all are just, or not y'all, but the governors of California, literally the state, the entire state representation is basically the Democratic Socialist Party. They're not even Democrats, they're socialists. Every last one of them, besides Gavin. Gavin wants to be president.
Like, perfect example. So Candace did a video on Selena Gomez a while back, right?
Why are we back on Selena Gomez?
Oh, no, this is a perfect example. And it was about the Mexican children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Candace literally tried so hard not to laugh at Selena because the way Selena overacted the, you know, I wish I could do whatever for the children, blah, blah. And I'm like, when I was listening to that and then seeing Candace's reaction, I was like, that's a perfect example of how Hollywood actors don't give a shit.
Well, my favorite thing ever basically is that when you look into a lot of these celebrities that go and petition or go and cry about things, 9 times out of 10 they're being paid to do it. And that's because people listen to celebrities, and people know that.
The one governor, though, that I did like that California had, though, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, Schwarzenegger was good, but you know, he had some problems too, though. He was the better one. What California needs, in all reality, what California needs is they need Rudy Giuliani like guy to come in there and stop all the crime, stop all the corruption, and end all of it. And Elmstead, to your at least Netanyahu has a warrant. I mean, sure, but as long as Netanyahu is waging war against Gaza and every other Middle Eastern country, he'll never see trial. Wall Street does run our state. Wall Street runs almost every state. If you look at what Wall Street's doing, it's crazy. Our governor, isn't our who the hell is our governor? Oh my God, I always forget his name. I know who you're talking about. He may have been arrested. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. They're all corrupt pieces of shit.
That part.
Yeah, I mean, look, like there's. Have you seen Missouri roads? Have you seen Missouri roads, crew? We're supposed to have a $500 million budget to fix roads around Missouri, yet there's still potholes the size of minivans everywhere.
And
Where's all that money going?
And like, for example, Kansas City, they be fixing roads left and right and then move on to the next project and never get it finished.
I guess our governor got in trouble for taking some weird photo of a lady.
Sounds about right.
Fuck Missouri.
Yeah, fuck Missouri.
Fuck Missouri, fuck Kansas, fuck Arkansas, fuck all of it. I want to go live in Florida, but at the same time, I'm sure Florida's got corruption too. Absolutely everywhere is corruption.
If I move to Florida, I'm going to Key West area.
Well, you ain't gonna get a job out in Key West. That's the problem.
No.
Is Key West is so fucking small, bro. They already have all the people they need to work out there.
Yeah.
It would be very hard to live in Key West, and you would have to have a lot of money. Lot of money. So this is the dark side of the Playboy lifestyle.
I told you that one of my favorite places to go is hotel bars. You know, there might be a band playing. You can have dinner at the bar, whatever. Drink your seltzer water and lime, that kind of thing. And that was just like fishing in a stocked pond. There was like just an opportunist's heaven. And what happens there stays there. And I regret it. I do. I regret it. Some people don't. Some people like, you know, wearing their notch count on their shirts and doing videos and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. You know, bragging about how many women you've been with, to me, is like bragging about how many drugs you've done. All you're doing is showing how much of an addict you are. Was I a sex addict? No. But I was definitely filling some void somewhere. I was maybe a pleasure addict. Maybe that was it.
Elms just said that our governor took a photo of this lady, I guess, having an affair and then tried to use it as blackmail against her.
Of course.
Corruption at its finest.
Yeah.
Missouri corruption at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
Holly Madison. Let's see what she has to say.
In one of the bigger rooms with one of the other women at first, and then someone moved out, so I was given one of the smaller rooms by myself, and then I moved into Hef's room like a couple months later when like his main girlfriend moved out.
That we're getting there because that whole thing is so crazy to me. Okay, so the female dynamic, I think everyone in my DMs right now was like, you have to ask her, like, was it like a sorority house? Was it not? Kind of paint the picture of, I remember the quote was like, it wasn't like, it made a sorority house look like Bible study.
Yeah, it was horrendous. Like the first 3 or 4 years I lived there, like before it was just me, Bridget, and Kendra. It was like me and 6 other women, and it would rotate like every couple years. Like there would be new people, and it was just really cutthroat. Nobody got along. Everybody was trying to like snitch on the other or like tell Hef a lie about the other to try and get somebody kicked out.
So you started in the mansion though, and you were liked because you were like this innocent girl.
I was just more quiet than the other women. Like they wanted to like sneak out and go out to clubs and like find the next celebrity to date and things like that. And I just wanted to like take a minute where I could like relax and figure out like what's my next step in life. I was put in one of the bigger rooms with one of the other women at first.
So Holly says that all the other women basically were drama queens that tried to get their way and would rat on other girls, snitch on them, sneak out, go to clubs, try to hook up with other celebrities. The girls didn't. That's why they didn't talk shit on Hef, because they didn't care. They didn't care. Any grown-ups wearing a Care Bear jacket's gotta go. That's what Elmsta said. Well, that's Holly Madison, so I'm gonna give her a pass.
Yeah.
She is very pretty.
You've seen Secrets of Playboy. Ooh, I got a story for you guys. And even if you haven't seen it, this is for you too, because I used to live in LA and I know a little bit about this kind of stuff. Now, everyone knows Hef as being a playboy. I mean, literally no pun intended, but a playboy throughout his entire career. And he would have the most extravagant freaking parties at the Playboy Mansion. I've personally never been to the mansion, but I have been somewhere just as creepy. So long story short, Hef's little other millionaire friends didn't want to feel left out, so they created their own mini mansions, also known as shadow mansions, which they talk about in the documentary. Guys, I was at actually a few of these shadow mansion parties when I lived in LA, and I had no idea what was going on. But I soon found out that I was at, I don't know, he is so freaking creepy, Peter Nygaard's house. I was really young. I was in my early 20s, and one of my best friends invited me. We were just like new in LA. We're like, oh, cool, we get to meet people, go to a party. First, we had to get approved to even come to the party, so we had to send a picture of ourselves. Then when we got there, we had to take a picture before we walked into the door. And honestly, it is just way too much to put all in one video. So if you guys want to hear the rest of the story about the little shadow mini whatever mansions, leave a comment below and let me know, because I'm dying to talk about this.
Peter Nygaard is a weird fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard quite a bit of weird crap about Peter Nygaard.
Shadow Mansion's interesting.
Yeah, have you never heard that before?
Mm-mm.
The porn industry, that Playboy industry, the whole thing is just tearing apart the family, trying to make women act on their sexuality way more, have multiple partners, and destroy the family and destroy what we used to have. We're trying to make America great again here, people.
He's trying to make America great again.
The Playboy Mansion is so fucked up what they're doing to women and what they've done for 50 fucking years now. The Playboy brand's still around and needs to be boycotted straight up.
They say it was sexual liberation. That's what they call this stuff, is sexual liberation. Well, do you feel very liberated anymore? Doesn't it just kind of feel like all the soul's been drained out of it? All the soul's been drained out of most relationships in this world. Look what they've done to you. And this is for a reason.
Just the porn industry.
He's got a point. So what I like to say is that Playboy was a psyop. Same thing with Pornhub. It's a psyop. Basically, what it's done and what it's meant to do is to turn women into objects and to get men to waste all of their time dreaming about what they could have, what they couldn't have, or what they want. And it's very unhealthy. And it's why you shouldn't really watch things like porn. If you are a person who is addicted to watching porn, you will never have a stable relationship, ever. You will have to go seek therapy because your real life woman won't do it for you because you watch really weird porn and that's the only thing that gets you off. And literally that's a thing. So I believe they purposefully did that. That was 120% on purpose. They knew that they could control the male psyche by throwing sexuality into our faces. It's basically just a big distraction. You know, it's that pussy distraction.
The dark truth about Hugh Hefner and his crazy rules in the Playboy Mansion were just exposed, and it's crazy. Hugh was only interested in blonde girls. If you didn't have blonde hair, he would make you diet to become one of his 7 girlfriends. All of his girlfriends had a 9 p.m. curfew. If they were late, they would have to sleep outside. Red lipstick was never allowed because he liked them looking younger. Hugh made all of his girls put honey balm on their face throughout the day because it helped maintain natural beauty. This one is the closest to what they used, and it truly does create natural beauty. Just go to Amazon and search up Evil Goods to try it for yourself. The dark truth about Hugh Hefner and his
I got to get me some of that magic cream. I got to put that all over me. It's going to make me look younger. I'm going to just douse myself in all of that evil good stuff. All over my body. Beef tallow, brother. It's gonna roll around in a giant pile of beef tallow.
Cameras, before the parties, before the legend. There was simply a house. A quiet, ivy-covered English-style manor sitting in one of Los Angeles's most secluded neighborhoods. Long before it became synonymous with fantasies and fame, the estate that would one day be known as the Playboy Mansion lived a different life. Still wealthy, still grand, but profoundly ordinary compared to what it would become. The story begins in 1927 when the original structure rose in Holmby Hills, a pocket of LA designed for old money families who wanted silence, not spectacle. The house was built for Arthur Letts Jr., heir to a department store fortune. It was meant to be elegant rather than flashy, with Tudor gables, stone archways, thick wooden beams, and shaded paths winding through a forest-like garden. It wasn't a palace for crowds, it was a retreat, the kind of home that held whispers instead of music. Its earliest decades were marked by stability. Families came and went, but the house itself stayed largely unchanged. Hidden behind immaculate hedges, protected by long driveways and towering trees, it was the sort of place only neighbors ever saw up close. No film crews, no limousines, no gossip columnists, only the slow rhythm of a quiet estate living out its years. But Los Angeles was changing. By the 1950s and 60s, Beverly Hills and Holmby Hills became magnets for actors, moguls, and the rising culture of celebrity. Large estates became canvases, symbols waiting for someone bold enough to paint a new kind of legacy onto their walls. And one man, watching from Chicago as his magazine empire exploded, was already imagining a headquarters that would blur the line between home, brand, and spectacle. The mansion wasn't yet the world-famous playground people think of today, but it had the bones for it: privacy, mystery, seclusion, and space. All it needed was someone who saw more than a house, someone who wanted to build a lifestyle, a myth, a stage. In the early 1970s, that person found it, and when Hugh Hefner stepped onto the property for the first time, the mansion's quiet past ended, and its darker future began. By the early 1970s, Hugh Hefner had become more than a publisher. He was a cultural force, half admired, half condemned, whose magazine had transformed him into a global symbol of a new sexual era. But while his Chicago mansion had served as his base for nearly 2 decades, Hefner was no longer content with a Midwestern empire. The future of celebrity, glamour, and entertainment was shifting west toward Hollywood. He needed a home that matched the expanding myth of Playboy, a place large enough to project power, private enough to shield secrets, and theatrical enough to serve as the headquarters of a lifestyle brand. In Los Angeles, that combination was incredibly rare. But when Hefner toured the old Tudor Manor in Holmby Hills in 1971, he saw what others didn't: a stage set waiting for a story. The mansion already had something he valued above all else: perfect seclusion. Its long, curving driveway acted like a tunnel into another world. The walls of hedges stood higher than a man. A visitor couldn't see the home from the street. Even the sky felt partially closed off by the dense canopy of trees surrounding it. For Hefner, who wanted freedom without scrutiny, this was priceless. But there was another factor, something far more personal. Hefner didn't just want a house. He wanted a controlled environment, a world he could shape down to the smallest detail. His Chicago mansion had been a prototype: parties, models, routines, but it was still limited by space and city life. In Los Angeles, he imagined something bigger, more cinematic, more immersive. The Holmby Hills estate offered room to expand. It offered a climate where events could stretch long into warm nights. And most importantly, it offered California proximity to actors, musicians, agents, and the ecosystem of fame that Playboy thrived on. Hefner wanted the mansion to be a magnet for celebrities, a place where people felt like stepping inside meant stepping into another dimension. When he signed the lease, later turning it into full ownership of the property, Hefner wasn't just buying a mansion. He was securing a kingdom, a headquarters for an empire built on idealized fantasies. But once he moved in, the transformation began to shift from aspirational to obsessive, and the house itself would change in ways that reflected not only the Playboy brand, but the darker shadows of the man behind it. When Hefner finally took possession of the Holmby Hills estate, the mansion was elegant, historic, and dignified. But it wasn't yet Playboy. To him, it looked less like a finished home and more like raw material, a foundation waiting for reinvention. And so he began reshaping it not as a residence, but as an immersive ecosystem, part studio, part adult playground, part fortress. The transformation started quietly enough. Extra rooms were reconfigured, offices added, sound systems upgraded. But as Hefner settled in, the scale of his vision expanded far beyond simple renovations. He wanted the mansion to feel like stepping into a fantasy, a place where daytime rules dissolved once the sun went down. One of the first and most iconic additions was the grotto, a cavern-like pool area meant to evoke the sensory overload of a secret underground spring. With artificial rock walls, warm water, hidden corners, and soft lighting, the grotto became the heart of the mansion's mythology. A place whispered about by guests, rumored about in tabloids, and forever linked to the intense privacy the estate promised. But the transformation didn't stop there. The mansion grew into an elaborate compound containing nearly 30 rooms, themed spaces, game arcades, bars, and entertainment hubs. Hefner expanded the property's technological side as well, a master control room wired with televisions, communication systems, and surveillance, a way for him to monitor the people and movements within his domain. Though some saw this as quirky eccentricity, others later viewed it as something more unsettling. A man creating not just a home, but a world he could observe and manage from above. The grounds evolved into something almost surreal. A private zoo with exotic birds, tennis courts, gardens that wrapped around secluded pathways. Even the staff quarters formed a kind of backstage area where employees lived steps away from the constant activity. Every addition reflected Hefner's philosophy. The mansion wasn't just where he lived. It was the brand itself, a physical manifestation of Playboy's promises and illusions. But the more the property expanded, the more it blurred boundaries between work and life, between fantasy and reality, between privacy and secrecy. Behind the beauty and spectacle, the mansion was becoming something else entirely, a complex environment that would later reveal its own set of shadows. If the outside world imagined the Playboy Mansion as a non-stop wonderland, a place where music thumped through the walls and beautiful people wandered through candlelit corridors, reality was far stranger, far more structured, and far more complex. Daily life inside the estate wasn't a free-flowing fantasy. It was a system, a schedule, a world with its own rules, unspoken codes, and carefully maintained illusions. At the center of everything was Hefner's routine, famously rigid. He lived almost entirely at night, waking in the late afternoon, reviewing footage, approving layouts, and editing from his bedroom, which functioned as both office and command center. Multiple screens flickered constantly, broadcasting movies, news, or feeds from inside the house. Staff knocked softly before entering, aware that the mansion revolved around his preferred rhythm of darkness and quiet control. The women who lived there, whether playmates, long-term girlfriends, or temporary residents, had their own routines, often shaped by expectations that weren't publicly discussed. A strict curfew kept everyone on the property by a certain hour. Weekly allowances were provided along with guidelines on appearance. Some found the environment thrilling. Others described it later as isolating, like living in a bubble sealed off from the real world. Mornings at the mansion were oddly calm. Gardeners trimmed hedges in silence. Staff cleaned hallways holding decades of memories. Animals from the private zoo rustled in their enclosures. By mid-afternoon, the house felt like a set waiting for actors to enter. Carefully managed, meticulously maintained, always prepared for the next event or guest. Nights, however, shifted the atmosphere entirely. The mansion came alive with parties, film screenings, celebrities drifting through rooms, and guests wandering into spaces they'd only heard rumors about. For outsiders, these nights felt glamorous, even mythic. But to those who lived inside, they were routine, predictable, repetitive, sometimes exhausting. The same faces, the same music, the same rituals of entertainment and expectation. Yet beneath the surface, tension simmered. The mansion's isolation, once its greatest appeal, became a kind of emotional pressure cooker. Residents lived under the gaze of staff, guests, and sometimes surveillance. Relationships tangled, competition brewed, and the distance from the outside world grew deeper.
So, crew, I consistently think about this actually quite often. How come? How many cameras do you think Hef had in that house? And do you think he had a camera in every single room? And if so, was Hugh Hefner blackmailing different high up celebrities? And was he like the original P. Diddy?
I think so, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
And Hefner got away with all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Daily life inside the Playboy Mansion was never as carefree as its image suggested. It was a carefully controlled environment built to sustain a myth, even as cracks in that myth slowly began to appear. As the Playboy Mansion reached the height of its fame, the world saw only its glittering surface. The party, the celebrities, the stories whispered across Hollywood. But behind the hedges and bright lights, pressure was building. The empire Hefner created was changing, and the mansion, once a symbol of limitless freedom, was becoming a place where the walls felt closer, the expectations heavier, and the realities darker than anyone outside imagined. By the late 1980s and 1990s, the cultural landscape was shifting. Playboy's dominance was no longer...
Elmstead, I think those were monkeys that were dressed up. I think the statues were both monkeys, and I think the one statue on the right side, we just couldn't see the tail because of the positioning of the statue and the way that they took the photo.
Longer guaranteed. Competition grew, scandals erupted, new media forms began to challenge the magazine's once unchallenged influence. And although the mansion still hosted lavish events, the weight of maintaining its grandeur and its myth began to take a toll on everyone inside. For the women living there, life became a quiet struggle between public fantasy and private exhaustion. Some described the constant pressure to look perfect, to attend events, to remain on for the brand. Others talked about isolation, days spent inside a secluded estate while the world outside moved on without them. Conflicts simmered under the surface. Friendships clashed, loyalties shifted. The mansion's glamour came with invisible strings that tightened over time. Even Hefner felt the strain. His desire for control deepened, reflected in routines that became more rigid and expectations that weighed heavily on residents and staff. The very environment he created, monitored, structured, insulated, began to mirror his own fears of aging and losing relevance. Rooms filled with memorabilia turned into echoes of past triumphs. Hallways once bustling with excitement grew quieter, heavier, as the house drifted toward a nostalgic version of itself. Meanwhile, rumors drifted beyond the gates. Stories of unequal power dynamics, troubling behavior at parties, and emotional strain behind the scenes began to circulate.
So, Elmstead, here is the photo for you. These are definitely monkeys. They're most definitely monkeys. And this one's tail is just on the other side right here. This one right here's tail is right here. By the way, I just looked it up, and Hugh Hefner had a weird fascination with monkeys because he had monkey statues absolutely everywhere. He had statues of chimpanzees, statues of orangutans, statues of gorillas. He also had these two monkey statues that had hats and were holding sticks. So, very weird. I don't know what his fascination with monkeys was.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
It's a little weird, right?
Yeah.
Tabloids hinted at them. Former residents alluded to them. Only years later would some of these allegations
Yes, Julie, he had real monkeys there. He had an entire zoo. The Playboy Mansion had a whole zoo in it.
surface fully, long after the parties dimmed and the cameras stopped rolling. Inside the mansion, the mood shifted from hedonistic to haunted. What once felt like a playground now felt like a bubble, one that trapped its residents as much as it protected them. The pressures were rising, and the glitter that once hid the cracks was beginning to fade. By the 2000s, the Playboy Mansion was no longer the unstoppable cultural force it had once been. Its name still carried weight, its myth still lingered in popular imagination, but inside the estate, time was catching up with everything: the house, the brand, and Hefner himself. What had once been the epicenter of a growing empire was slowly becoming a relic of an era that no longer existed. The mansion's physical condition was one of the first hot signs of decline. Years of heavy use, constant events, and deferred maintenance left the property noticeably aging. Rooms that once dazzled guests felt dated, frozen in the aesthetics of the 1970s. Plumbing issues, electrical problems, and worn interiors hinted at a deeper truth. The house had lived harder than most mansions ever do. Even the famous grotto, once the crown jewel of Hollywood nightlife, needed repairs and renovations to stay functional. Behind its walls, time left marks that glamour could no longer hide. Hefner himself was changing too. His health fluctuated, and his presence at events grew less frequent. He relied more on staff, more on routine, more on the carefully maintained environment he had built decades earlier. His relationships shifted as well. The era of multiple live-in girlfriends faded. The reality show The Girls Next Door brought new interest and a polished version of mansion life to TV screens, but that too created strain, exposing cracks between image and reality. Financial pressures also tightened. The Playboy brand struggled to adapt to the digital age. Magazine sales declined, cultural attitudes shifted. What once felt provocative and modern now felt dated, even controversial. Supporting the mansion's enormous upkeep grew more difficult, and the estate, once Hefner's crown jewel, became increasingly symbolic of a lifestyle that was disappearing. By the mid-2010s, the inevitable arrived. Hefner agreed to sell the Playboy Mansion with one extraordinary condition: he would continue living there until his death. It was an arrangement rarely seen in real estate, reflecting both his attachment to the property and the practical reality that the mansion had become inseparable from his identity. In 2017, the final chapter closed. Hugh Hefner died inside the home he had shaped for nearly half a century. And with his passing, the mansion's myth, long fraying at the edges, began to unravel completely. What remained was a house full of memories, controversies, and unanswered questions. A place that had once represented youth, freedom, and rebellion was suddenly quiet, emptied of the man who had defined it. After Hefner's death in 2017, the Playboy Mansion entered a strange and uncertain limbo. For decades, it had been inseparable from his identity, a physical extension of his desires, routines, and worldview. Without him, the house felt unmoored, like a stage after the final actor has exited, silent, heavy, still carrying the echoes of a world that no longer existed. The buyer, Darren Metropolis, heir to a food and beverage fortune, had purchased the property the year before, agreeing to let Hefner remain there until his passing. With that condition fulfilled, the mansion shifted from a living myth to a restoration project, one cloaked in both anticipation and unease. For the first time in its modern history, outsiders wondered, what would become of a house so tied to scandal, glamour, and controversy? Inspections revealed the toll of decades spent as a constant event space. Aging infrastructure, outdated systems, and damaged interiors pointed to a difficult truth. The house had been maintained for spectacle, not longevity. The estate's once majestic charm was buried under years of wear. The grotto needed extensive repairs, electrical wiring required modernization. Even the gardens, once lush and carefully tended, showed signs of fatigue. At the same time, the cultural reassessment of Playboy's legacy intensified. Former residents and associates began speaking openly, and new documentaries cast harsh light on the hidden dynamics inside the mansion. The house, which had long been a symbol of pleasure and freedom, now stood as a reminder of darker realities. Stories of emotional manipulation, strict control, unhealthy environments, and power imbalances that had been brushed aside during the mansion's heyday. As these voices grew louder, the mansion's aura changed. What was once considered a glamorous landmark became the subject of uncomfortable questions. The iron gates, once symbols of exclusivity, were reinterpreted as barriers that hid suffering. The lavish rooms felt less like playful fantasy spaces and more like backdrops for a system that blurred consent, autonomy, and exploitation. While plans for renovation moved forward, a different kind of transformation was happening in public memory. The Playboy Mansion was no longer just a house. It had become evidence, a physical reminder of an industry that had shaped pop culture while leaving deep emotional scars on many who lived within its walls. By the late 2010s, the estate stood caught between two worlds, the glamorous myth Hefner built and the hard truths emerging in its wake. The question now was not what the mansion had been, but what it would mean in the years to come. Today, the Playboy Mansion stands at a crossroads, part relic, part renovation project, part cultural artifact whose meaning continues to evolve. Its stone walls and Tudor gables still rise above Holmby Hills, but the energy inside the estate is entirely different now. The parties are gone, the crowds are gone, the legend is fractured, and what remains is a house trying to define itself after decades of being defined by one man and one myth. For nearly half a century, the mansion represented an idea, seductive, controversial, and larger than life. It was a symbol of Playboy's promise, freedom, indulgence, and rebellion packaged as glamour. But as time passed and stories surfaced, the house took on a second identity, one far more complicated. It became a cautionary tale about the seductive power of celebrity, the blurring of boundaries, and the costs hidden behind carefully crafted fantasies. Renovation efforts have focused on restoring the mansion's original structure, stripping away decades of themed additions and worn spaces. In many ways, this mirrors the broader cultural shift, peeling back a myth to reveal something more neutral, more historical, and less emotionally loaded. The new owner envisions the property not as a shrine to a bygone empire, but as a home again, private, quiet, removed from spectacle. A return, in some sense, to the estate's earliest purpose. But no amount of restoration can erase what happened inside, and the mansion's legacy is now intertwined with testimony from former residents, documentaries that explored its darker corners, and accounts of systems that thrived on control disguised as fantasy. It stands as one of America's most famous examples of a place where glamour and darkness coexisted, each feeding the other until the two became impossible to separate. In cultural memory, the mansion remains a paradox. To some, it will always symbolize a bold, controversial chapter in American entertainment history, a place where celebrities gathered, parties became legend, and a magazine transformed into a lifestyle. To others, it marks the site of emotional harm, exploitation, and a power dynamic that left deep scars long after the music stopped. As the years pass, the Playboy Mansion becomes less about the beige who owned it and more about what it represents, the rise and fall of an empire built on fantasy and the truths that eventually emerged when the illusions faded. Behind the gates of Holmby Hills, the house still stands, but the world around it has changed, and the myth it once embodied has finally given way to the story that was always waiting to be told.
All right, guys. That was going to be our last video for tonight. We are going to be on tomorrow, and we're going to do part two to the Playboy Mansion. So, crew, are you still there?
I'm still here.
All right. So as always, crew, what is this?
This is the Robert and Crew Show Venmo link, where if you like to, not have to, donate so that way we can get stuff for the podcast, or so we can get travel costs for the podcast, so we can go anywhere that involves the podcast. But this Venmo link is only for the podcast.
All right. And with that being said, our favorite form of currency is share the show. If you know somebody that would like to listen to the show or would have a lot of fun just being here or even getting interviewed, let them know about the show. Share the show. All right. With that, guys, we're going to leave you here. Peace out from the Robert and Crew Show.